Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Lights Out Racing. This is round 11. We are in Vietnam, the city of Hanoi, the very first Grand Prix held at the circuit. The drivers are now just getting onto the grid to start their qualifying runs. We are ready to go. As always, I'm joined by Biggles in the pit lane, and new to the commentary booth today is Striffium. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you very much, Izzy. Looking forward to a race around here in Vietnam. It's a very new, difficult circuit for these drivers. Of course, Biggles, how are things going over in the pit lane?
Good. I'm just trying to do my little hack into the race control once again. So, yeah, if you can bear with me, guys, I will try to patch in there and give it a little update on the telemetry information.
Glad to hear it. We have a number of drivers who are just starting their first laps. Let's go on board here with Freeware. Looks like he is just exiting Sector 1. But I will say is I don't have much experience on this track. I don't know if either of you have done much experimenting, but what is the tire strategy that these guys should be trying for in qualifying?
I've seen a number of Vietnam races now. I believe 4 league races around Vietnam. There are 2 different strategies that these well, 3 technically speaking. Of course, safety car dynamic can play a role, but potential stops that you're going to see are a soft medium from the driver with the expert tire management. It is a possibility. We've seen it done before. Of course, now soft hard, maybe the more mainstream approach. A lot of these racers right now setting times on soft, so it's very likely we may see that. Soft, medium, medium can also be applied. So there's a multitude of strategies that can place drivers within that top 10 any which way they choose. So it'll be curious to see how these drivers cope with things.
I see a couple out on the mediums. I don't know if that is a recommended strategy or not, but we'll see. As Freeware sets the fastest time, 1:33.8, and that will be the benchmark for the rest of the drivers out here today so far. Kind of an awkward pit lane entrance and exit here at this track. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Or I'm a little worried we might see a bit of contact coming out of the pits potentially, because that ties in right into turn 2.
Pit exit entrance here. The pit exit, I think, here in Hanoi is a little bit more tricky than the entry, although the entry in itself is its own challenge, considering it comes out of a fast right-hander. But that exit, these drivers, there's a very clear line and divide for the racers coming out of that pit lane and for the racers who are traveling through turn 1, 2, and 3, and so on, in that exit. And as long as the driver who's currently flying through that section does their best to keep on the furthermost inside, they should be okay. And those drivers, of course, exiting that pit lane to stay as outside as possible without invalidating their time or crossing that pit exit line, things should be okay. I haven't seen any major incidents come as a result of the unique pit, but right now, watching Muniz flying down that Sector 2 long back straight. He comes through, and Charles in P5 at the moment, invalidating his lap big time. And now it's the McLaren sitting on the hairpin. And there is a huge jumble of cars in this hairpin right now, and nobody knows what's going on. And I think that Muniz might have been waiting for Charles there to maybe give him a piece of his mind on that hairpin. But Grigor now, who I think was on an in-lap, wondering what's going on, or he might just as well be on an outlap as well, as Charles is up ahead. So Charles, not too sure what's going on with him in that Ferrari at the moment.
It looks like Muniz may have lost connection because he left the session. That might explain why he had to park the car, but looks like Charles has some damage. Nope, he does not. So very, very interesting. Not sure what's going on there.
Well, it's Henners right now in the racing point. He's coming through turn 23, the final turn of this circuit. He's going to cross the line. What's it going to be? DRS wide open. And he does not set a lap, so it appears it was an invalid. Oh, and there has been a delay in my timing tower. I'm not too sure if you have seen that on broadcast, but he does jump into P5.
Yes, he does. Hopefully. I had a few issues with lobby lagging, so hopefully that doesn't continue tonight. But as I see a bit of, as I'm on board here with Mikau, as he is setting his first hot lap of the night. You can see the carbon fiber hanging out there in parts of the track as a result of some drivers leaving their front wing behind as they try to make their way through the rather tight track that we have at Vietnam. I almost feel like this is the track that immediately comes to mind to compare it to is Baku, but I somehow feel like it's a worse track than Baku. I don't know. Any thoughts on that?
Well, it definitely has its Baku-esque qualities. The fact that it is a tight grid, it's got that long straight section, it's got some winding turns through here, but of course one element that Baku has that this circuit does not is the 90-degree turns. This circuit employs something much, much different, and it's those roundabouts. As Grigor, who is on a lap of some kind, has now held up the Mercedes of Mikau massively. Mikau diving into the pit lane now. I'm sure he's frustrated with that, as not too sure what is going on with Grigor in that Alfa Romeo.
He's also into the pits as well, so maybe was not probably watching his mirrors lose S's as he should have been. Yet they replaced those 90, as you were saying, they replaced those 90-degree turns with more of those kind of half circle or almost full circle type turns, as you see in turn 3 and then also at turn 6, I believe.
Very difficult to navigate those turns. It requires very important throttle control, understanding of your tire compounds, the grip, where you find that grip through those turns. I've seen drivers go through there extremely slow because they struggle, and then there's other drivers that just have it, and there is a car off just outside of Sector 3. That is the Williams of Kion on an invalidated lap, and doesn't appear to be any damage on that car at the moment.
You'll need to watch out for Charles behind. I don't know.
Hey.
Sorry, go ahead, Biggles. Anything
sorry to interrupt there. I actually my mic muted there for a second. So Stevie Gaming, a little shout out there. So he's predicting a safety car on lap 1, turn 2. So very, very specific on that. Good job there. Dick Tucker's cheering on Shumi, and also Big Lovins is like, it's Saturday night for a virtual session. I'm not quite sure what you mean about that, but yeah, back to you guys.
You don't want to repeat everything that's said in chat.
Yeah, that could end up bad.
For sure.
Yeah, most definitely. So not too many drivers out on Super Flyers. Of course, one driver to take note of is the Brazilian of Charles in 7th position at the moment, and he's flying through down into that first major roundabout section. Well, the most important one, because it's very, very important to get a good exit out into this very long straight here. As he's flying, he has some traffic ahead of him. Who is that? It looks like it is the Williams of Kion ahead of him flying.
I think both of them might be on hot laps, but Kion is on the mediums.
Oh, it looks like Freeway is absolutely blistering. He's lighting up the timing tables in purples again. Sorry to interrupt there. Looks like Freeway is going to go even faster. He's already 133.8. He's almost like half a second quicker. I think he's going to go even like low 33s at this rate.
And he's 0.2 up on his time, just scraping the wall there before the final corner. Does so well and does improve his time by 0.3 of a second. So 1:33.5 is the new number. Go back.
And Charles come back. Charles is setting personal best, but no purples. So he will cross the line, but it'll improve, but nowhere near the Freeway pace at this point.
Got a bit of out of sorts on those last 2 corners. Touched the wall both of the times. So that cost him some time for sure, but still 0.7 off of Freeway. So these drivers have a lot of work to do in order to challenge for pole position.
Times are looking good right now. Freeway that 133.5. Charles next fastest in P2 at the moment provisionally, of course, as we have 5 minutes left according to the clock on screen. Let's take a look at who else we can find on Flyers. Swifty right now coming through Sector 1 in the Red Bull, looking to improve on that 135.1.
Looks like
Julian's looking to improve.
Swifty's backing out of that. He touched the wall and had to, I think, Mikau go on board with him. He is on a flyer as well.
Yeah, fastest at the second sector, lighting up the timing boards that I've hacked into the FIA timing control there, so I have race control information. Fastest second sector, what can he do as he approaches the final corner here? And then this one is kind of a little bit like, do you flat out? Is it flat out here around this corner? Well, we should see. Here's a bit of carbon fiber. What can he do?
And that is good enough for P2, but I think he left a good bit of time there on the table. He was a bit late. Well, he didn't hit the apex on the second to last turn, and then he touched the wall both on the entrance and exit to the final turn, so that cost him several tenths, most likely. 23 turns here at Hanoi, so that's up there amongst the most among F1 tracks, for sure.
We're going to look at LOR AJ right now on a flyer. He's coming down into the hairpin in the Alpha Tauri. See how he goes through there. He's cutting he's cutting to that inside curbing there, just kissing it a little bit as he moves through that left-hander. Pushing out the power now, coming up into Sector 3. This very tricky bit of circuit, this S's section, if you will, where you bring things up into 7th, and you slowly cascade down through the gears as you go through each turn. AJ,
I think he
struggling a little bit through this section.
I think he's backed out.
It looked like he's backed out. He has backed out as his energy deployment is off. He's not happy with that one. Let's see who else we can find on a flyer. I think Jetty on a flyer at the moment, coming through that first sector of circuit, that first roundabout section into that first good straight here. DRS wide open for the Ferrari. Dropping things down all the way into second gear here, kissing both curbs, being easy on the exit here, not shifting up through the gears, short shifting, but being easy on that throttle. Now up into 5th, 6th, going up through these gears, and you're going to get and max out this car on this very long Sector 3 straight. You're going to get DRS halfway through, and then you're going to come down into this very tight hairpin at the end, which is a very, very important place to keep your eyes throughout this race. That is the #1 overtaking section of this circuit. That is where I'm going to say 75 to 80% of overtaking action is going to take place. A lot of opportunities coming into that roundabout that leads into that long straight, but a lot of drivers, I've seen them stick patient. They're like, why don't we just wait, just a few seconds and we can get them down into the hairpin. So there's a lot of different strategies at play. Sector 3, very difficult section of circuit to overtake. Sector 1, a little bit more opportunities, but really it's that Sector 2 where you're going to see a lot of action.
I think, especially on a track like this, patience is going to be really key for drivers if they want to keep their car safe in one piece and have a good opportunity to overtake and finish high up on the leaderboard. If you tend to push it, you might end up into a wall, and that will spell quite a disappointment. There's plenty of walls to hit.
1 minute 30 almost now, and we're looking at a bunch of drivers on their outlaps there. Freeware, Macau, Julian, Charles, AJ, Swifty, Henners, all on outlaps right now. Swifty will be the first one to cross the line here on his outlap. So, crossing the line to start his outlap, shall we say. So, this is interesting. Nobody else has improved. Kion might improve, but can P15 might even validate his lap as well.
As Duck Levers crosses the line, improves by 2 tenths, but that is not enough to move him up into P4. He stays P5 for now. But a good bit of a gap we're seeing. The top 2, top 3, I would say, just hovering around the high 133s. Then the next group in the 134s, and then it drops down to the 135s. So this is going to be
interesting. Is there enough time now for Macau, who's followed by Hennes, Simos, Julian, and Zay? They don't have enough time to get across the line to start their lap. I don't think they will. They are on an outlap, but I think they might have timed this incorrectly. They might be in big trouble right now. There's 20 seconds right now. Macau is in the last sector, but as you know, he's going to lose a bit of time. He's going to be right on the border.
I think he might just have the time as he's approaching the last few turns. He's backed off a bit to open up the gap, but it could be close for sure. 10 seconds as he's at turn 22. I think he'll just time this just right.
Get it. Hennes is behind him on an outlap. I don't think Hennes will have enough time there. P9. Just might get it on the bubble there. Oh, Zay definitely won't. Julian behind him won't. So there you go. He might have just got it in time, Hennes.
Go on board here with Mikau. This is going to be, needs to find 4 tenths here on Freeware, who's right ahead of him.
Freeware's now improving. Freeware's now lighting up the purples. Purples are good. Everybody knows the purples are good in time and scream. So he will be aside from, it looks like Finn, but Finn's not improving on his time. He's validated his lap. So Freeware will be the first driver, apart from Charles. Charles has invalidated his lap. Freeware will be the first driver that will actually put in a fast flying lap. So will he improve on his time?
Well, we're about to see what the split is for Mikau coming through into Sector 3 here. Biggles, he's just clapped a 105.738. Excuse me, that's Freeware. Now we're going to go and take a look at Mikau, as he's going to be coming through Sector 2 very, very soon. So if he can get below a 105.3 coming through Sector 2, that means he's up on what Freeware is doing right now. But he's down on his time coming out of the hairpin. So he is actually up on what Freeware has done, but Freeware has invalidated his final run here, which is crucial for Mikau, as Freeware is not going to be able to improve on that 133.5, but Mikau, who has not invalidated his lap, just might, as he comes down into turn 22 here, down into second, short shifting into third, hard on the throttle, now exiting 23, a little bit of a lift there, coming out. What's it going to be? Is it enough for pole? He improves by 3 tenths exactly. However, Freeware doing solid right now, still a tenth ahead. And it is a 1-2 for Mercedes still.
Yeah,
Mikau
Mikau
crosses the line into third position there with that 133.9. He will not be able to improve on the P3.
Yeah, Mikau pushed really hard there. He lit up. He got the fastest third sector there. So it's a bit of a split there. Overall, Freeware gets the obviously the quickest, best time. However, Freeware only has the first fastest sector. The Sector 2 and Sector 3 then belong to Mikau. So there is, as you can see, almost nothing between these two drivers.
Yeah, Mikau did it excellent in that last sector, as you said, but the 2 sectors leading up to that really put him at his advantage. He was able to capture up to 3 tenths there just in Sector 3, so that was really impressive. Thank you very much, Dick Tucker, for the subscription. Appreciate that. And
yeah,
that,
say that. Yep.
and that will be the end of qualification, as the last few seconds go off the clock. Hopefully the people in the pits will retire here so we can move on to the race. But I expect a lot of action to turn 1. Do you think a safety car will come out turn 1?
Turn 1 is tricky. It's a tricky turn, but I think a lot of these drivers are going to be very, very careful going through turn 1. I think everyone's going to be on red alert. I think where we're really going to have to look here is at the exit of Sector 1 in that first straight coming into that roundabout. There's that very, very tight right-hander where you can fit too wide, but of course you need to make sure that the space is left. And another very interesting hotspot is going to be down into that hairpin. Heavy fuel loads are going to catch these drivers off. I can almost guarantee it. So they're going to be needing to be earlier on the brakes and try not to coast through any cars down into that hairpin.
That sounds like excellent advice to me, as we will be ready to move on to the race here. Yep, there is officially the end of qualifying. We will go down through the grid. Final grid set after qualification. We have in P1 and P2 front row, Freeware and Mikau, followed by second row, Julian and Charles, all divided. Both of those guys are divided by very tight times. Duck Lovers, Swifty, Henry, AJ, Keon, and Zay are the top 10. And then the bottom 9 drivers, Sheamus, Gregor, Enoch, Finn, Ziploc, Schumacher, Addy Stryker, Squidette, and Muniz. Those 9 drivers will have free tire choice at the start of the race. We'll see if they go from their softs to something else like a medium. But they'll also need to keep their eyes out around them as the start of the race, as there'll be lots of traffic in a very tight circuit. That is the end of the quali. We will be back in a moment with the Vietnamese Grand Prix. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Vietnamese Grand Prix, the Grand Prix in Hanoi, Vietnam. This is the very first Grand Prix held in this country. It will be an exciting race today on this improvised street circuit. As you can see, it's a rather interesting looking thing with 3 DRS zones, several long straights, several of overtaking opportunities. Fairly flat track, not very much elevation change, but a total of 23 corners. 23 corners with very tight walls that these drivers will have to navigate successfully today over the next 28 laps. We have the drivers out on the grid. They are starting their formation lap. They have set their, they have the same setup from quali, but they set their tire strategy, how much fuel they want to carry. It'll be interesting to see the strategies that we'll see today. But what are you expecting to see in the race today, Strifkin?
Some tight overtaking down into that sector 2 hairpin. That's where your eyes are going to want to be glued throughout this race. Of course, you have the 2 Mercedes right now leading the charge. Freeway and Mikau. I think there's going to be a lot of fighting between those 2 right now. Mikau, I think around most circuits, would probably be the quicker driver than Freeway, but Freeway, he's no slouch. The German, very quick here around Vietnam. He's had a little bit of experience around here in league racing already, as has Mikau. And now it's Julian in that racing point, who has always been quite quick, who's going to be looking to challenge them. You can see right now he's pulling off behind these 2 Mercedes. He's taking a little bit more time to heat up his tires and letting them get to the grid as quick as they can, because of course the quicker they get there, the longer they'll have to sit there waiting for the rest of this grid. Now it's Charles in 4th there in the Ferrari. Going to be looking for some overtaking from him as usual. Of course, Duck Lovers and Swifty, the 2 Red Bulls today. Duck Lovers, he's got his fair share of good overtaking moves. We'll see if he's able to put those skills to use today against these front runners. Of course, Swifty in 6th there. I know he's a reserve here for LOR. He's a good, consistent driver. We'll see if he's able to put anything together. Henners, who's become somewhat of a staple here for LOR right now. He has been driving in most of the races, I think, this season. He's now in Racing Point, which is coincidentally the car that I used to drive here on Saturdays. But of course, now all these drivers coming to the grid. A lot of interesting overtaking. Another good driver, my dark horse for this race, is going to be Schumacher, a.k.a. Jetty, down there in the Ferrari P16. Very clean driver, great overtaking ability, solid wheel-to-wheel racecraft on the medium starting this race. I think we're going to have to look out for Jetty today as well.
All right, well, obviously the top 11 are on the softs. A number of drivers, mediums or hards in the back as we are prepared to go racing.
3, 4, 5 red lights on here in Hanoi. We're waiting for those lights to go out. The lights have dropped. Of course, there's a timing desync on the lobby. Current glitch we know of, but waiting for those cars to leave. Taking a look at those 2 Mercedes. Of course, the cars are away here in Hanoi. It is the 2 Mercedes off to a great start, but Henners has had a very good launch. He's already into 6th position, coming down into turn 1. Julian in 3rd holding station. He's looking around the outside of Mikau already. As Mikau looks at Freeware, we have a yellow flag in Sector 3. I think there was some kind of exchange on the start line. But we're coming through here in turn 1. Exchange of positions. Once again, it's Henners and Swifty wheel-to-wheel almost, and there's another Red Bull in the mix. That is Duck Lovers now pulling up next to Henners as we come down this very long straight into the second roundabout section of this circuit. Henners and Duck Lovers having an exchange. That is Duck Lovers out in front right now. Good move there. Henners now coming back on the inside. He's going to have a little bit of a better exit window here, but the traction coming out of that Red Bull right now, a little bit too much to handle for Henners in that racing point. Meanwhile, AJ defending against Zay Bernice in that Alfa Romeo. Zay Bernice into 8th position. They've exchanged. Now there's another exchange way further down the grid. That is Grigor getting out in front of Squiddy. And this has been a very, very hectic race start. As now there's been a desync of some kind. Squiddy having some issues, but it's still half a second between Mikau and Freeware. As I said, Mikau quite quick, but Freeware maybe a little bit quicker here around Hanoi. Of course, time will tell. Tire management going to play a huge role on these softs.
Well, that was an exciting start, but no safety cars out, so losers to all the people who recommended that in chat. Good racing so far. I don't see any of the damage. We'll see if anyone dives into the pits. Right now, it looks like Charles is into the pits. He will need to get a tire change.
And Samus as well, dropping all the way back 8 positions to plump last as well with wing end plate damage. So he will have to box. He's behind the McLaren driver at the moment of Munz. And also, as we see everybody boxing at the moment, some early stops.
Yeah, that's Seamus there in the Renault having to pit. A multitude of drivers having to pit now here in this one already as Charles and while Jetty have had to come in.
How long is the pit stop here at Vietnam? You cut a few corners by pitting, so it might not be as serious as it looks like. We have Enoch in P17 who has spun out of turn 3, I believe. Yes, and he is getting back underway right now.
You have to look for here. It's Henners versus Duck Lovers still, as these two have been fighting since the race began. Swifty and P4, the Red Bull. Currently, it's a 3-4, 5-6 for the Racing Point Red Bull teams, and they're split between that grid position, and it's Duck Lovers up the inside of the hairpin right now, very late on the brakes. What's the exit going to be like for the Racing Point? A lot of traction coming out of that Racing Point right now. They're wheel-to-wheel on exit. How's it going to go down into Sector 3? That S section, they're not going to be able to go wheel-to-wheel through there. It's Duck Lovers out in front right now, and he may be able to hold it there until we get back to that pit straight where Henner should have that DRS available. But right now it is back to a 4-5 for the Bulls in blue.
Yes, the Red Bulls are splitting the racing points. Good to see the team battles between the 4 Mercedes, obviously, and then the 2 Red Bulls, just as we see in real life.
Yeah, DRS is now enabled. The Ferrari drivers are not doing very good at the moment. That is Charles and Schumacher running plump last. Charles obviously losing 14 positions from the start, and he's switched on to the hards, as well as his teammate Schumacher in dead last on. But they've gone to a different strategy right now on the hards, and whether or not the hards can go to the end, that's up to you guys as racing drivers to give me that information.
Now, as you were saying, Biggles, right there, Zay Bernice had a big slide out from the rear of that Alfa Romeo. Kion in 7th position now in that Williams. He had a fantastic carry of speed with the DRS and overtaking full swing. Now he is into 7th position. We'll see if Zay Bernice able to get a switch back down into that hairpin. Of course, it's Duck Lovers getting very close to the rear of Swifty now, and he is going to have DRS into the hairpin, as this is a battle for 4th position. Is he going to utilize any of that overtake? Doesn't look like he is, but he has so much speed coming into this hairpin. How is Swifty going to defend this from his teammate? No team orders playing a role right now. That's Duck Lovers on the inside, wheel to wheel. And it looks like he has made that move clean on his teammate. And Henners has dropped off from these 2 Red Bulls significantly, almost 2 seconds the gap already, as Zaber Nice now wheel to wheel with Kion out of the hairpin. Kion sticking it in 7th still. Zabernice wants that position back, and as these 2 continue to battle, that's going to open up the door for the Williams Finn in 9th position to try and take down that 2.5-second gap that he's got cooking over there.
Yes, good overtake there between the 2 Red Bulls. Kept it clean, being teammates, though that doesn't really matter all that much right now. But I took a look at Henner Z just to make sure, because he's dropped off quite significantly, as you said, but he does not appear to have any damage on that front wing. So I don't know if maybe he's needing to conserve some fuel, or he had some struggle through the S's, but we'll see if he's able to recover and close that gap back up to Swifty. The other good thing is that I'm seeing here is Mikau is really keeping that gap tight to Freeware, as down to 0.3 of a second, and he will probably bide his time, and I expect a potential overtake here between the teammates coming out of turn 8.
Given the speed of these 2 racers, very even here around Hanoi, you have to take into consideration some of the smaller things now as these 2 continue to do battle. And that is, of course, battery power that is being utilized. Mikau not utilizing as much as Freeware at the moment. He's got that DRS down in the hairpin. Is he going to get the overtake done? He's out in front of his teammate at the moment. Now he's on the inside. Let's see how Freeware gets the exit down. And he looks like he's lagging a little bit coming out of that hairpin. He shorts it into 3rd, shorts it into 4th. But he doesn't get that main exit speed that Mikau got there. Mikau looking a little bit quicker out of that hairpin right now.
And we have a change of lead in the race. And we'll see if Mikau's able to pull up ahead lap 4. You might be seeing some tire degradation here, which could affect the pace of these drivers. Those who've been able to keep that wear down to a minimum should have a little bit extra pace here over the next few laps.
Yeah, I'm down at the pit wall right now in the Mercedes. It looks like Mikhail's running about 30%, 32% there, tire wear on those softs. So he's got running at about 6% tire wear per lap. So as you can judge, if he's going to get up around 60% tire wear before he needs to box, he's probably got about 5 laps left.
As Kion down in P6 gets past Henner Z, but they're still battling through turn 3. We'll see who has DRS coming out of that corner. As Henry Z does have DRS right on the back of Keon. Not sure if he has enough room. He's still a bit back as we enter the braking zone, and he will bide his time.
A lot of patience coming into that turn, and it's almost necessary considering why wouldn't you? And he has a big tap of the wall there, sliding out the tires. He locks things into that right-hand turn. He gets the car back under control. Now he's got to power out, but he's lost a massive amount of time to that Williams ahead of Kion, a second to be precise. And as a result of that, he's going to lose a slot to that Alfa Romeo of Zay Bernice, and he's not going to have DRS to contest these racers. He lost that when sliding out of that turn. He may have just had it on the Williams, but it wasn't enough. So now it's Kion in 6th, Zay Bernice into 7th comfortably, and Hendricks is continuing to drop and struggle on these soft compound tires here on lap 5. Meanwhile,
and Zipop just makes a move on Finn there and up into P9. That's the McLaren driver moving up into the point.
Stryker on the inside of his teammate down to the hairpin. That is Squiddy in 13th there, and it looks like a good move from Stryker. He's on the hard compound tire. He's actually on the slower tire than his teammate at the moment, but a good overtake from them. If they continue to work together like that down into the hairpin and throughout the circuit, they can make up some serious time on the drivers ahead using that DRS.
So Swifty boxes, he's gone into the pit lane. He's had enough of those tires already. I'm surprised. I'll give you information about his pit stop as you resume the battle up ahead.
Freeware is able to hang on here within that DRS range, and that will allow both of those drivers to maximize the gap to P3, Julian, who's 2 seconds back. As we see, our first 2 drivers, looks like they're going softs to mediums. Looks like to be the call that most of them are taking, so they'll need to make those mediums last 22 laps or so. So that could be very interesting to see how that works out for them.
Yeah, I believe the calculating times down here in the pit lane are 38 seconds for that pit stop that Swifty took and went on to the mediums. So
Charles in that Ferrari now, starting to make some moves here as he's now already into 11th on those hard compound tires. His teammate Jetty not faring as well on the same tires.
So
that's Enoch very close to Jetty. Looking to that inside, not really having the traction right now. Of course, Enoch on those softs. Very hard tire to be on here in Hanoi. See his switch to the inside here, coming down into the right-hander. How's it going to go? Bit of a cut there on the curbing. Multitude of position changes now as it looks like there was another exchange between Charles and Squiddy.
I'm getting some feedback from the Red Bull team that they're a lot better on their front tires than what the Mercedes drivers are. So are we seeing a repeat of what we have seen in the real F1 recently around Silverstone? So are the Red Bulls a lot better on these tires than what the Mercedes are?
At this point in time, I think it would be too early to say. As Henner's now, he comes in off the softs here at the end of lap 6, so he's going to jump onto some mediums as well as serve a stop and go penalty. No wing change for the Racing Point though, which is a good sign. It means he hasn't really come into any contact with the circuit itself. There's a multitude of drivers switching positions as Squiddy is finding himself in a battle here between the Red Bull and his teammate Swifty into 10th.
How long should we expect these hard tires to last? Because Charles switched to them on lap 2. So I don't know if he's hoping to make them last the whole 26 laps or not, but that could be interesting to see if they'll hang on for that length of time.
It's going to be a significant stretch that early to go onto the hards. I think that maybe for him having to pit so early, that soft medium may have been the better call. Of course, time will tell. He's pushing the tires quite hard right now. He's in 9th position. He's taking down that 4-second gap rapidly to the Alfa Romeo ahead in Grigor. We'll see how he maintains these tires. Of course, there is the possibility of a safety car here, and there is a ton of drivers ahead of him that still have to pit here. But I do not believe we're going to be seeing the Ferrari of Charles sticking on these until the end.
Let's have a look. The top 3 at the moment are lapping in the late 139s, whereas you're looking at Doc Lovers, Kion, and Zay up into the 140s and 141s. So The leaders are still maintaining a bit of a gap. Damn.
It's going to be interesting to see what Freeware and Mikhail do on the pit strategy, because at the end of the tire life of these softs, you could have a little bit of a pace advantage if you go ahead and dive in a lap early. Plus, they're going to have to coordinate that as well since they have the same pit box. As we have a yellow in Sector 3, it looks like...
Muns, that's
Is
Muns.
it Mun? It's Seamus.
Oh, no,
Seamus.
Muns is boxing,
Yeah,
sorry.
that's Seamus right there in that Renault in 18th. He's struggling through that Sector 3S's section, and that's going to be the McLaren of Muniz coming behind him rapidly. Hopefully able to take that position if Seamus doesn't get things going in time. Another multitude of position changes. It's now Zay Bernice into 10th position as Swifty. And Charles appear to have an exchange coming down into that hairpin.
I do not know who will have DRS. It looks like Charles does not, but Swifty does. A long way back. We'll see if he can...
And Mikhail's boxing from the lead. Will Freeware counteract that? No, he won't. Looks like Freeware's going to stay out for an extra lap there. Duck Lover's going to box as well. And Julian.
If the undercut pays off, we'll see if that 1.3 second gap that I think Freeware had on Julian will pay off, as he is now undercut the Mercedes leading this race. That's Freeware. Mikau, his teammate, was leading until he came in for the undercut. Now we have a yellow flag in Sector 2, and that's another driver. I believe that is going to be Muniz once again, and he's having major damage on that front wing there. He's missing that front right end plate and half of his downforce package. So he's going to be struggling.
Freeway gets a time penalty, and Freeway is coming around to approach him as well. So that's going to hurt him. First time penalty, I believe, for the leaders.
Yes. So 17, just under 17 seconds between Freeware and Mikau after the pit stop. Expect Freeware to pit this lap, and we'll see if that gap drops enough, as Duck Lovers is right on the back of Ziploc in P4.
So Freeware's gone to the soft tires. Oh, we're still on the soft tires, sorry, my bad. So stay out. How much time can he do? We're going to have to get these guys to produce a lap first in order for us to gauge the amount of time difference
right now. Biggles, sorry to interrupt you, my friend, but it's Ziploc under major threat right now. That's Duck Lovers in P5 on the fresh mediums, and he's looking to get that position back as quick as he can, as Ziploc now looks to fight back. Duck Lovers on the inside, Ziploc on the outside, not having that traction that Duck Lovers has in the fresh compound rubber. Duck Lovers with a smooth operation into 4th position.
And Freeware boxes as well from the lead. So will he have enough time? 16 seconds. No, he will not, to Mikau. So he's going to have to slot back into P2. Well, not Julian's going to make the difference up there and slot into P2.
That's the big question. Julian rounding 22 now, and now he's going to turn 23. Doesn't have DRS available. He does have overtake. He's going to have to burn that battery hard here if he wants to get ahead of Freeware, and he just may do it. He's got ahead of him now, but Freeware is going to be coming out of that pit lane. Does he get him? No. So Freeware, rapid out of that pit lane, got out just ahead, and that undercut has paid off for Mikau. However, Julian perhaps not so much, as it's now pretty well the same gap we saw before. Actually, it paid out for... He gained a little bit of time, I think.
He did, but that 3-second gap between Mikau and Freeware is surprising. That is a significant difference, especially when they're under a second when they pitted.
Yes, that's right. So it was less than 2 seconds, I believe, between Julian and Freeware when Julian went in for that undercut. And now that I look back, it has cost him, as he's 3 seconds out from P2.
Yep, Julian's pit stop was a 33.3 seconds. Let's go back, and if I can get your report on what the pit stop times were for the other drivers. No, I can't at this point, but yeah, 33 seconds. However, go ahead.
No, it looks like we have a little bit of a train forming behind Keon here with Charles and Swifty all in a row trying to get past the Williams driver. And Charles does get past Keon as he goes wide out of the hairpin, and Swifty will have a shot here if he stays patient through the S's. What were you going to say, Biggles?
I was going to say it would be a bearer of bad news. However, Freeware has a 3-second time penalty, so he is the only driver at the moment in the top 7 actually with a time penalty. So what can he do about it? He needs to get past McCall, and he needs to gain 3 seconds if he wants to win this race.
And he has to watch out for Julian, who's obviously a very talented driver in P3. You know, if you don't have to overtake on track, if you can stay close.
Squiddy's had a major issue here. He has gone extremely deep into that hairpin, and by deep I mean he went all the way through into that runoff zone, and it has been an absolute mugging for the drivers that passed him there. I believe it was Zay, Bernice, and Enoch that got the better of that one, as he has now dropped out into 15th position. Now we have another battle forming. It is, of course, that battle behind Keon, excuse me, in 7th. Swifty within half a second of him, with DRS down into this first round, or the second roundabout section, leading into that long Sector 2 straight. We'll see what kind of run the Red Bull can have on the Williams ahead, and how that DRS for that Williams is going to keep him in a defensive position, because he is within DRS of Charles.
Swifty's not using overtake, so either he's confident that he'll have the slipstream and the DRS is enough, as he now goes into overtake, and we'll try to get past here.
So G Parent has posted on Twitch, the donuts shop has closed. The drivers are trying to reach it before they run out of pastries. Mun spun, as we saw earlier. Dick Tucker said, why is Schumacher so far back? Heart is broken. Yeah, I do feel for him, but he's a different tire strategy. He might still come back there.
I think he had to pit after the first lap because he picked up some wing damage. Went through the hard tires, and those obviously don't have the speed, so he's struggling to stay in position for now.
He got caught up in some early racing incident, and it has cost him. We saw him hit in at the end of the opening lap. Of course, he was my dark horse for this race. I wanted to see him do well, so I can definitely sympathize with all of you in the chat right now. Swifty's still maintaining station on the rear of that Williams. Of course, this is going to be the lap I think we see the move from the Red Bull.
As Henner Z has DNF'd. Looks
like it'd be a retirement into the pit lane. He's done with this one. Either that or he crashed into the pit lane, one or the other. He was in a solid position to get some positions from the guys yet to pit in this race. Of course, Ziploc still needs to come in.
I think poor Hennersmo might have lost his bucket hat, so he's just pulled up his car and he's run back to try to pick it up from the track somewhere. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does look like he crashed in the entrance to the pit lane, so that must have caught him out a bit, and unfortunate. It's always frustrating to hit the wall as you enter the pits, but it does happen occasionally on some of these more tricky tracks.
Now, Swifty in that Red Bull, he seems to have had a very poor exit coming into this long Sector 2 straight here. He has now expended his entire overtake option in that ERS deployment to catch up with that Williams once again. Now, he's not going to have the opportunity to make a move here in this lap. He is less than half a second, although it's not going to be enough. Sector 3, not an area where you're going to see a lot of overtaking. Keon coming up on some back marker traffic. That's Muniz.
But look at Swifty and Keon, exactly this big battle here between 6th, 7th, and 8th.
And Charles is also around the back of Ziploc, so battle for 5th as well.
Well, Ziploc's going to blink and jump into that pit lane now. He's on his starting compounded tires. He's gone 12 laps now on those mediums as Mikhail's crossed that line into the 13th lap of this campaign. But you have Charles now into 5th position as a result, as Keon and Swifty move up.
Swifty had a big clout with the wall coming out of the final corner, but it looks like his front wing is all right, so must have taken it on the wheel, but that was very close for the Red Bull driver. And Ziploc looks like he will come out.
He's boxing 12 laps on those mediums, and Grigor as well. Still staying out, however, he is also the only other driver at the moment that has not made a pit stop, so how far can he go on those medium tires?
A little bit of strategy. Right now. Sorry, go ahead.
Ziploc on a very solid strategy here, because he's on these fresh hards now on lap 13. They will most definitely make it to the end of this race. All of the drivers ahead of him are going to be on much older tires come the end of this race. By the very minimum, Keon, he is on some 3-lap old mediums at the moment.
A good bit of strategy by Keon there. He let the back marker stay ahead coming in the corners before the long straight, so you'd have DRS to help him to defend. So a bit of a wise bit of racing there by Keon, and that allows him to stay ahead of Swifty for the moment.
Swifty has not been able to pull the trigger on this Williams, and I imagine he's getting frustrated as a result. But of course, patience is a virtue, my friend, and should he have some, I think he may get him. He's showing great pace right now, but in a result of this battle, he's putting a little bit of extra wear on those mediums, which are already going to be older than that Williams ahead of him's tires to begin with. So there's going to be a bit of a differential that comes into play at a certain point when Swifty's tires decide to drop off. And I think he may already start to be feeling that as he's struggling when trying to keep up with that Williams through these non-DRS zones, at least in that Sector 3 section, because he builds up all this time coming down into that hairpin, and then he loses it coming out of Sector 3, and he has to do it all over again. And if he does that enough times, he's going to drop off permanently.
Yeah, sure. Dick Tucker's called it out. Dick Tucker also races in this league as well. Got a great deal chatting on Twitch to everybody. He says that Swifty has to get it done in the braking zone. So good luck on him. And as you just commentated, that is the place that he needs to get it done. So
all right.
What can Swifty do there?
Shout out to Letty Gaming and Toby. Thank you for the follows. Appreciate it. And we are at lap 14, halfway through the Vietnam Grand Prix. Only one retirement so far. No safety cars yet. Barcraft, thank you as well. And we'll see if the good fortune for the drivers will hang on. Expect to potentially see some more collisions as these tires, the grip level starts to fall off, and it becomes that much more harder to keep the car on the track.
Let's see if I can grab a hold of Hennes.
Swifty got a little squirrely out of the exit of the hairpin there, losing the rear bit. He did a good job to correct, but that's not something he wants to do if he's looking to maintain time on Keon. Right now, less than half a second is the gap. He's looking quite rapid through this Sector 3. Looking a little feistier than we've seen him in these couple past laps. Hopefully he's able to maintain a better gap to that Williams coming down into turn 22 here. A little bit later on the brakes, big lock up there. That's going to cost him. So he's struggling on that penultimate turn. And you see now Keon, he's already pulled out a second. You see Swifty not going to have the DRS on the pit straight as per the usual. And now he's been... I don't think he's going to be able to get within the DRS of Keon again unless Keon makes a monumental mistake here, because he's already pulled out almost 2 seconds on the Red Bull.
I agree with you there as we have a second retirement of the night. Muniz in the McLaren. Looks like he lost it in the S's Sector 2, or Sector 3 actually. And he is the second driver who is out of this race as Finn gets past Jetty in P13. So he has those fresh medium tires to look to go back up as
Charles has had an issue. He is off inside that second roundabout section leading into that long straight, and it doesn't appear to have any damage on that car, but he's definitely struggling on those hards at the moment because it appears he lost it. He lost a couple positions to Keon and Swifty. Now he's in 7th looking to fight back, and he's not going to be happy about that. But of course, we saw Grigor and Ziploc fighting. Ziploc had a very late lunge into turn 1. Didn't get the move done there, but it appears he's gotten that move done into the second roundabout section, perhaps at the end of that Sector 1 straight. But now it's Grigor in that Alfa Romeo. He's going to be looking to fight back with the DRS, but he has no battery at his disposal. Overtake enabled or not, there's no juice. So without the juice, you're not going to get the positions, my friend, and that's Ziploc very easily into 8th position. He's going to be flying away on that optimum strategy. He has those hards on to the end, and he's going to be quite comfortable on them to the end as well.
It's going to be interesting to see if he can catch up to Charles and Swifty ahead, as I think Charles would be wise to potentially pit here. I don't think those hards are going to make it much longer. As he's trying to fight back against Swifty, but we'll have to wait for the second DRS zone to do so.
So 2 retirements so far.
Neither have brought out a safety car, which is good.
So 17 drivers in this race. We are definitely set for some exciting racing.
Charles here looking for a move on Swifty. He looked to the inside there to see if he can get a reaction out of the Red Bull, but that Red Bull, Swifty in 6th, holding station. Now Charles, he's within half a second coming through that second roundabout. Is he going to have the exit he needs? He's putting things into overtake mode now. He's going to have DRS. Are we going to see a move for 6th position from the Ferrari driver? He's on some very worn hards right now. He's going to have to pit again by the end of this race. I can only guarantee it. And he is now ahead of that Red Bull Swifty into 6th position. Doing well. What's the defense going to be like out of the Red Bull? Not much he can do considering the carry of speed out of that Ferrari. Well done from Charles into 6th. And we have a bit slide from Swifty there coming out of that hairpin. And that is going to cost him. And I think we're going to see him come into some different tires very soon.
Yeah, guys, I managed to run down to the pit lane and grab Hennes actually for a quick chat. So thank you very much, Hennes. Can you if you have a quick second to explain what happened to your race.
Well, I lost it on the S's, and then I just yeeted it into the pit entry wall, and yeah, tire was gone.
Definitely
Oh,
unlucky. Was it just the tire wear lost the grip? That you think that was the main reason, or you just the S's caught you out and got a bit of oversteer?
Yeah, I was pushing too hard, and the tires were getting a bit too hot. But yeah, that's basically it.
All right. Well, unlucky about that. Best of luck in your future races, and take care. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ciao.
All right. Well, that will definitely happen, especially in the S's when you're sharp, fast left-handers followed by right-handers. You can get a bit of snap, oversteer, and end you up into a wall. Well, is it snap understeer or snap oversteer? I've heard it described both ways.
More or less it's oversteer. I think oversteer is more prone to cause a major accident than understeer, but then again, it's case by case.
Yeah, I think it's oversteer.
Oversteer is where you get that snap and you have to really react to try and catch it, and understeer as well. Just more or less a lack of turn in my experience.
Yep.
Not getting the car turned around enough, and we see a little bit of a slip out from Keon in fifth there. Charles looking at him right now. Less than half a second in that Ferrari, still looking to move back through the split. He's looking quite quick on these hards, and you see Keon just pull completely off to the side there. Not entirely sure why. Just completely let Charles by as if they were teammates. So a very interesting move there from the Williams. So perhaps some cross-constructor team dynamics coming into play there, but that was a clear liftoff and allow by from Keon in that.
I love that. That's a new term, I think, for commentary. Cross constructor. Good job. Little shout out there. King Kutha was asking about a penalty check. Let me get a little bit update there. Still no differences between the top six, apart from Freeware that I mentioned earlier is the only driver that has 3-second time penalty in the top six.
And if that's King Kutha in the chat, it's Striffy, my friend. Good to see you watching some league racing. I hope you're enjoying the cast so far. Charles right now he is 12.8 seconds off of Duck Lovers. Duck Lovers currently 11 seconds off of P3, and you have this major separation between the podium drivers right now. It's 3 seconds between Mikau and Freeware. Mikau seems to be running away with it, and Freeware also has a penalty to boot. Julian 5 seconds off of second position, but it is it's holding around that 5-second mark at the moment. We saw him come out of that pit lane 3 seconds behind Freeware in that attempt to undercut the Mercedes.
Yes. So Grigol's now boxed and gone on to the softs. So he's P11. However, he can get a point, obviously, if he can get within the top 10 and get the fastest lap. So perhaps that's his strategy right now. But he's still quite a bit off, 8 seconds off Zay, the Aussie guy there. So can he make a difference to the hard tires that Zay is running on at the moment?
Swifty has now moved back up in DRS range of Keon in the Williams. The fight for P6 continues. We'll see if Swifty abandons that and goes into the pits. He's sick and tired of those 12-lap old mediums, and he'll probably switch to softs here for the final run to the end. And yes, the safety car is on.
Curious question is if Charles is going to come in on these very old hards at this point. I can see him coming out of that Sector 1 roundabout section. He is struggling monumentally, and he's dropping massive time to Duck Levers ahead as well on the much fresher medium compound tires. I think it's time for this Ferrari to get some new rubber.
I think if he does, he'll only drop one position, or maybe two. So that could play into his role, but I agree with you on that. He should come in for sure.
Well, he has around a 24-second gap. You're not too far off on where he might come out here if the pit stop doesn't involve a wing change or any kind of stop-and-go penalty. I'm not entirely sure what the penalty situation is at present. But Swifty coming out on those softs. He's in 8th position. He's in a good position to take 7th from Ziploc as well. Ziploc on the hards, but I don't know if Swifty's going to be able to maintain that 7th from Ziploc, as Ziploc's going to have a little bit more pace in his tires to the end of this race. Softs going to be quite difficult to control come that 13-lap, 12-lap range that Swifty's going for here. But he's going to have the traction coming out of that second roundabout. Not even with DRS or overtake in full swing yet. He's just dabbing into that overtake. A little bit of defensive driving from Ziploc there. Very questionable defensive waving. But of course, we have Swifty on the outside. Ziploc not able to do much here. But Ziploc very late on the brakes. He almost sits that car in the inside of the hairpin. But Swifty, with so much traction on those softs, he gets by the McLaren with ease.
Yeah, there's a huge difference between those two compounds of tires. So Swifty did well to bide his time and was managed to get the overtake done around the outside there. That's a bit more challenging than the standard inside overtake that we've been seeing by most of the drivers today. But
Now,
So let's look at the
gets it
interesting
done.
strategy right now. Mikhail, Julia, and Duck Lovers all on the older medium tires. They're running 11 laps, 10 laps, as you can see on the telemetry. They're now tires, I believe, that I've got from hacking into race control, around 50%. So you guys would know, still at least 9 laps to go. Will they be able to run to the end, or they have to extra box again?
I'm going to tell you right now that Mikhail and Julian are coming into the pit lane for softs because Freeware has blinked on an undercut that is going to put those drivers in serious threat if they don't get onto some fresh rubber, because now he has to go on those tires 9 laps to the end, and he's going to pull a lot of pace out of those tires in the next 4 or 5 laps. Quite enough pace that he could very well catch up to the Racing Point in Mercedes. Mikhail has now blinked into the pit lane. As I said, he's coming in. Is Julian going to follow suit? Yes, he does. And the bet is that they are all going to go onto the Red Ring soft compound tires.
This could be interesting. See if Duck Lovers in 4th does the same or not. He's just... Nope, he will not. He passed the pit lane.
Freeware's coming around the final couple of corners now, final second corner, and now the last corner. He's going to be absolutely flat on the paddle, and guess what? It looks like he's going to be easily taking control of this race. Freeware is up into P1.
And that just shows you the difference between fresh softs and that medium compound tire at that 11-12 lap life. And you see now Freeware, where's he going to come out here? The undercut worked this time. It worked for Mikhail last time, but of course, looks like it's Mikhail. He's come out with Freeware, and they're wheel-to-wheel coming out now and down into this sector 1 right-hander straight here. Julian is lost out as Duck Lovers moved ahead of him. So Duck Lovers on those mediums, I don't know if we're going to see him pit. He could try and stretch them, but I think he may risk a puncture doing that. But right now, Freeware and Mikhail are about to have a serious battle.
And Freeware did well to overtake him while Mikhail was challenging him exiting the pits. And he's opened up a little bit of a gap now already on Mikhail, so that...
Yeah, this is the time now that Freeway needs to put the pressure down, because he had 3 seconds time penalties, and also Duck Lovers now as well, as he invalidated and got a time penalty. So he has 3 seconds. So looking good for Julian, and obviously looking very good for Mikhail right now if he can maintain a 3-second lead over Freeway.
Well, the thing with Freeware is, like you just said, he has that penalty, but another major factor here is the fact that not only is there a sector flag causing a safety car in the second roundabout section.
And this could work
that is gonna
perfectly
throw
for
the-
Duck Lovers, who will
King
dive
Cooper
into the
goes
pits.
21.
But watch Freeware and Mikhail now. Do they jump onto some other softs? No, they stay out because they now don't
This
have
will
another
advantage
set
Duck
of soft
Lovers. Now
compound
Duck
tires.
Lovers can box from P3.
Yep.
He's going to have a pit stop, and also Charles should box as well, having those old mediums.
That was a major risk from Charles, and it may have paid out very well for the Ferrari driver as he has stretched those hards 19. It'll be 20 laps when he crosses through into this pit lane. 20 laps on the hards, a very good feat from him here in Hanoi. The question is, what rubber is he going to get onto here? Is it going to be the softs? It can only certainly be the softs, and it is going to be the softs. But of course, where is he going to come out as a result of this pit stop? And what kind of speed is he going to have to move himself up to where I'm sure he'd like to be in that podium?
I think he'll stay where he is at the moment, as Swifty is just coming around the final corner. So, yes, they will remain in the same positions that they're in right now. Charles, Seamus behind him. Schumacher will probably lose as Seamus and Swifty might be battling out of the pit lane exit there. No, Seamus will still stay ahead. Schumacher will then be behind him.
There's a close exit with Charles and Swifty coming out of the pits. Nope, sorry, I take that back. I mistook Charles for Jetty. But our first safety car of the day comes in lap 22. And late safety cars, we've seen a number of them. As I was mentioned earlier, as the grip decreases, it increases the chance of you hitting a wall. But that's going to really hurt the drivers who picked up time penalties. And Freeware has the lead, but with only, when the safety car comes in at 4 laps or so to go, those 3 seconds could be very, very important.
Yeah, he's got to get ahead 3 seconds by far as well. Duck Lovers as well has 3 second time penalty. There you have. So Freeware 3 seconds, Duck Lovers 3 seconds, Swifty has 3 seconds. Kyan will get the time penalty award, 20 seconds back in P8. So he's going to drop a lot. And aside from that, there is no other drivers on track with time penalties at the moment. These are the 3 second corner cutting penalties that I mentioned. If there are stop-go penalties, which are the 5 second penalties, they will be added at the end of the race if they have not already served them during the pit lane.
I think we're going to see a very unique strategy from these two Mercedes as they now have to defend against some other drivers on some fresh soft compound tires. They had the perfect strategy. They had a great strategy on that soft, medium, soft, but now the safety car has thrown a little bit of a wrench into the equation. Now, here's what's going to happen. Freeware has 3 seconds of time penalties. Mickow, his teammate's going to defend for him. They're going to try and ensure that Mercedes 1-2, and Julian's going to get into a very unique position because if he's not able to get by Mickow is going to work down his softs in that defense because Mickow right now is showing clear pace versus the rest of this grid. Freeware knows it. The rest of the grid knows it. So this safety car restart is crucial to the racing point because if that racing point cannot catch Mickow on this restart, good luck because those two Mercedes are going to be flying home with the win.
And there's a lap or 2 difference, but I don't think that's going to be big enough with only a few laps to go to make any difference on speed or grip around the corners. So it should be it's a straight up fight basically between these drivers, skill to skill, with basically the same desired tires, and they'll be able to store up their ERS under the safety car, and also save some fuel. So it's going to be overtaken rich for these guys to the very end.
Now, the alternative to what I was suggesting is that there's no team dynamic. Let's say Freeware and Mickow had an agreement where they let themselves fly away here in this race and no holds barred. Freeware has a good pace around here. I said it in quali and I said it again at the beginning of this race. But that 3 seconds is hurting him. An alternative would be that Mickow just does away with his teammate, which I think would be a rarity. But let's just entertain it for a moment. Does away with Freeware, drops him into second position, overtakes his teammate. Now, what does Freeware do? Does he defend against Julian? Or is Julian able to stay within the DRS range of these two Mercedes? Now, I think we're going to have that safety car coming in here. Or at the end of lap 20. Is it coming in? No. So the light is still flashing. It's not going to be coming in.
Yeah, it won't come in. Sorry to interrupt you there because we still have a bunch of drivers still bunching up. They're still in sector 1 and even sector 2. So yeah, we'll see one more lap.
I just wasn't sure because the safety car can only stay out so long once it gets to the end of a race. And then it won't matter if there's back markers catching up or not. So I just wanted to make sure that we didn't get the call from race control there, Biggles, but thank you. I believe the threshold is 4 laps, if I'm not mistaken. So we're getting near that. I think it's going to come in at the end of lap 24, most definitely, regardless of who's caught up to it or not. There's also backmarker tracket within this grid that will not be able to catch up to that safety car and unlap themselves, as you're unfortunately unable to do so in this game.
And most of these drivers are on the soft, so keeping these tires warm won't be as big of an issue as if someone decided to stay on the mediums or the hards. So hopefully these drivers will do the best job they can and they'll have maximum grip. We won't see any kind of awkward braking and overtake attempts after the safety car ends. That's always something was always fun, especially if you happen to be on the hards. When a safety car came out, almost impossible to get those things up to temperature.
Yeah, and one thing to note is that you have, like you said, you have Julian, Duck Lovers, and Charles all on these a little bit fresher soft compound tires. When those softs start to get a little older, near 8 laps, I think that differential may come into a significant play, but right now it's pretty well down to the pace. But it is something that we can keep our eye on down to that penultimate 27th lap, leading into the finale, of course. But these two Mercedes showing us, well, a very true to reality finish at the moment, considering how the championship's going. Mercedes doing quite well right now.
So yeah, we only have 3 retirements at the moment. Muntz had retired, been disqualified apparently from race control. As you see, a safety car will be in this lap. Disqualified for ignoring yellow flags. So there you have it.
I just pulled up the standings, and a battle that could be very important to look at would be between Charles here and Duck. They are 4th and 5th, but they are fighting very closely for this championship. So that will be something to keep an eye out on for the last few laps, because the final position between those drivers could be hugely important with one race to go after tonight.
Freeware now leading this grid. He is going to be the first driver to cross this line, and you see right now Mikau not having the jump that I'm sure everyone's expecting him to have on his teammate. He's allowing Freeware to get a little bit of a run out of this, and he's keeping Julian at bay, and it's coming in through, as I said, there's some serious team dynamic here. Mikau has taken himself out of DRS of Freeware.
DRS won't be enabled, though, for the next few laps. So
It
Julian
will be for the final lap, though.
Yes, so Julian will have to be patient. So it looks like we have some movement further back. Keon dropping back several positions into P12. But another gap is Duck Lovers opened up over a second gap to Charles behind. So the top 4 are all right on top of each other, as Julian is right on the gearbox of Mikau.
Yeah, Mikau needs to be careful that this strategy doesn't hurt him here. He knows that there's no DRS right now, and it's going to come down to the overtake ability and the battery deployment right now. He's sticking out. He's looking to defend. How's it going to go? Julian is hunting him down right now in this racing point, but Julian has pressure behind him as well. You see, Julian only has pressure, Mikau only has pressure from the rear. Julian has pressure from Duck Lovers looking at the inside of the racing point right now, and Julian focusing on Mikau. I think he has made a mistake here as they are in a drag race down into Sector 3. Julian on the inside taking a little bit too much of that curb in. Be lucky if he didn't get a warning there. It's still wheel-to-wheel through the Sector 3 section, and this is a very, very key place you don't want to go wheel-to-wheel through. As you saw there, Duck Lovers dropping off thinking this is absolute suicide. He doesn't want to end his race that quick here on a safety car restart. The lifeline's been thrown to him, but it's Charles who got the best lifeline of all. He's in 5th position right now. He's less than half a second away from these two guys fighting, and guess what? Julian fighting against Duck Lovers, 2 seconds is the gap to P2.
Yes, that side-by-side racing through the S's really slows you down, and that opened up nearly a 2-second gap to Mikau. So Mikau can now set to work to make sure he stays within 3 seconds of Freeware in order to get the win.
Enoch on Grigor into turn 1, and Keon is there to look at and pick up the pieces from this encounter, but it's a battle for 9th, and that is Grigor off wide as Keon punches his way through into 10th position. Now Grigor on the back foot has dropped out of these points.
Yeah, Keon also has 20-second time penalties as well, so they're really not battling at him, they're battling with what positions they can get up ahead.
That is a very unique penalty situation for the Williams then. At that, of course, Duck Lovers now still within major DRS range of Julian, although not enabled until lap 27. That overtakes all he's got, and you can see a lot of these drivers having that opportunity to rebuild that battery reserve during safety car. Duck Lovers on lap 26 has nothing left in that battery reserve, although a fantastic move up the inside of the racing point. Into 3rd position he goes. Now Julian under serious threat from the Brazilian. That's Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari with a very smooth move into Sector 3, and he's already into 4th position. And now Duck Lovers is the next target, and he's under serious threat from this Ferrari storming behind him.
Duck Lovers also at the 3-second time penalty, apart from just him and Freeware at the moment. In this top battle that you are watching, they're the only guys with time penalties, so they have to do something about it. Freeware's not outside of the 3-second time.
As DRS
zone
is enabled, we have 2 laps to go. And that could be very important here between these 3 drivers.
Well, most importantly, it's going to be, I think, Charles that gets Duck Lovers down through into that hairpin. He may even go as early into that second roundabout section. You see now he's got that DRS. It's going to come on. We have a retirement. That's Finn in the S's section. The Williams driver not able to make it through that section here on this 26th lap for him. Or it may have even been the 25th lap, considering he may have been a lap down as well. But of course, this battle right now for the final podium position, or it could be any of the podium positions given the penalty situation.
As Duck Lovers has really closed up to Mikau. I do not know where that gap disappeared. But Duck Lovers is almost in DRS range.
Well, I remember at the beginning of the race I was explaining some of the things we need to look at are the little things. Mikal, half that battery at his disposal, whereas Duck Lover's absolutely nothing in comparison. Charles Leclerc, he has a little bit more than the Red Bull, and that's going to be his ticket to P3. DRS management around here in Vietnam is crucial for that Sector 2 straight, as well as through in that Sector 1 straight as well. So these Mercedes doing a good job of managing the battery, as is the Ferrari behind them, but the Red Bull, he's in a tight spot as a result of his lack of battery management. So hopefully he's able to stick it in P3 there. I'd love to see it.
Come on, Australia. Come on, Macau. You can do it. 2.6 seconds. All he has to do is maintain within 3 seconds, and he can win this race. So all of Australia right now, including myself and the whole 18 million people in Australia right now, are all behind this driver, the Aussie driver. We want to see a shoey on the stadium.
The shoey, of course, yes, the Danny Ricciardo special. Now the thing is here, I said it, Mikal, not too worried about catching his teammate there. That's why you see such a significant gap. It was the intention of Mikal in second position to play second fill here on that safety car restart so that Freeware can escape from the likes of a driver like Duck Lovers, who's within 2 seconds of P2 right now. Had that been Freeware in that position, he's going to get dropped behind. But Duck Lovers, although he's in P3 right now, Charles Leclerc has something to say about it, and that's that don't forget about me. He's got overtaken full swing now. He's going to use it or lose it here. He's got to go for it. He's going to have the DRS on this very long straight. Such a carry of speed. Duck Lover's not able to do anything against that momentum. We'll see if he's able to fight back down into this hairpin, maybe last of the late breakers, but he's not going to get it with a very big move on Charles Leclerc in the hairpin. He has actually taken out the Ferrari in the hairpin on the inside. And Julian has gone straight through into third position, and that is a major incident there, and that is all on the Red Bull for that. He cut the chicane, the inside curbing, and rotated that Ferrari round wide, and that was something you hate to see in racing, but Julian has made out like a bandit as a result of that. But Freeware has taken a 3-second time penalty here on the penultimate turn.
Oh,
that's going to cost major.
That's going to cost him more. Macau will take the lead. Macau will win this race by far. Will Julian get P2?
And he doesn't. It's a 1-2 for the Mercedes after all, after some very, very late last-minute drama between the Ferrari of Charles and Duck Lovers. That was a straight robbery if I've ever seen one from the Scuderia, and I imagine the Brazilian's going to be very, very heated after that exchange. What a race.
What a finish, for sure.
There will be some drivers that will have to be reporting to where I'm going to run out of race control right now because I don't want to be anywhere near these drivers because I'm sure there's going to be some furious words coming out of these guys when they take their helmets off. So there you go, driver of the day, Anikok, can I pronounce that? P7, he finished, and good driver. He also took the extra pit stop. He took 3 pit stops, whereas most of the drivers, and as Mikhail lifts that trophy. Come on, Mikhail, give us a shoey. I don't think he's going to do it, but he's going to spray that champagne. Well done, the Aussie driver. Well done for Australia. P1. What an exciting finish to this Vietnamese Grand Prix.
All right, Mercedes on the 2-stop steps. Well, actually, 3 Mercedes on the podium tonight. Mikau and Freeware are able to hang on to P2 despite those 6 seconds of penalties. Julian gets that last podium spot. He'll be very happy about that. We will be back in a moment as Ziploc 10, Grigor 9, Swifty in 8, Enoch in 7, Charles, AJ, Duck Lovers make up the last people in the points. We'll be back in 1 moment with some interviews. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll be right back. All right. So we have the two Mercedes drivers, 1-2 finish for both of you guys. You picked up some penalties there, Freeware. That right on the last lap too. You got another 3 seconds that cost you. So
Yeah,
what happened
it
there?
was a bit that was a bit unlucky. Slid over the curb in turn 18 and then cut the inside of 19, which was a bit unlucky. Still, second place with the fast lap is okay for the championship, I guess, because I think Charles finished like 6th or something. So
Yep.
again, now 11 points. Yeah, otherwise solid race, I think.
Well, yes, congratulations to you. How was the little bit of strategy there on the safety car restart with you and Mikau? Were you trying to? You had 3 seconds that you're trying to make up, but Mikau was able to stay in there. Kind of, what was your thoughts right at the safety car restart?
I was quite okay. I was like, yeah, I think I'm just pulling away because on the fresh tires I felt a bit better than Mick. And yeah, just tried. Sorry, I just tried to focus on my race and not off the penalties or on the penalties or something.
All
So
right.
just drove. I made the 3 seconds real quick, I think.
So what
Like
you're
on-
saying is there was no team strategy involved at all between you and your teammate there, because I mean, I have to say it worked out beautifully for the silver arrows in this encounter. I thought for sure there was some kind of communication, but man, you guys are fantastic if there wasn't, because that worked out perfectly.
All right. All right. Well, Mikau, you say you ran out of fuel there on the last lap. Were you pushing that hard?
Yeah, it was for a little bit. I mean, Freeway just the incredible pace he had on the softs. I couldn't match with that. You know, I didn't know he had a 3 second penalty until after the safety car, and by then it was too late. So, but then he got the 6 seconds at the end, and I was so lucky to just cross the line. You know, I think it was like 3/10 the final gap, and I had Julian behind me as well catching me.
Yep.
But no, it was an intense end to the race. You know,
Well,
yeah, kept me
Mikau,
motivated.
fantastic job. You had all of Australia behind you. We were cheering you on. We were singing Waltzing Matilda all there. So once again, I didn't see you do the shoey in the podium, but still,
Well,
very proud to be an Australian.
Once
And
Cody's adds that, you know,
Sorry.
I'll be getting it. Once Cody's adds that to the game, to the shoey, I'll be getting that podium emote.
Okay, no
podium
problems,
emote
mate.
for sure.
once again, good job making Australian proud. Good. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie all the way.
All right. Well, last interview, we have Julian. You seem to be struggling pretty significantly there. After the safety car, you dropped a number of positions, but you were able to fight back and get up into that last podium position. So what was going on with there? You seem to be, a couple people overtook you.
I just got caught up in battles and lost a bunch of time. And then I had a battle with duck lovers, and then Charles was able to overtake both of us in that, I think. And I was down to P5, and I just got a bit lucky that the two of them crashed out.
For sure.
I mean, I was off the pace pretty much the entire time, and I was aware that Freeware had those penalties, so I was just trying to drive as clean as possible in those last few laps.
Well, it worked out for you. You now have a hat trick of podium positions, third place in the Netherlands, USA, now in Vietnam. So good streak going for you. And you confident in Brazil?
Oh yeah, I'm much more comfortable with that track compared to Vietnam.
All right. Yes, Vietnam's definitely a challenging track. Difficult to keep your nose clean. But congratulations on your podium position, and good luck next week.
Oh.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching the stream today. We will be back on Tuesday with non-assists here in Vietnam, and then assist 2 in Vietnam as well on Thursday. Then the final race of the season will start on Saturday next week with assist 1 at Brazil. All the races are at 8:30 Eastern Time. We look forward to having you guys all there. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great evening and rest of the weekend. Thank you so much.